data now is more valuable than oil. If you get banned off Facebook, that's it. You've got no recourse. You can't go to anybody and say, oh, gee whiz, I got banned from Facebook unfairly. My business is now shut down. Building a house for him to live in, right? That it actually likes the house when he gets there.
Hey guys, welcome to the Convo Couch. Today we've got John and James North from Volt Systems. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. I'm great to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Our target market's a lot older, so they don't quite get the internet, so they can't log into stuff. They can't, their eyes are painted on. We'll sell them a DVD. They can stick it in the DVD player and they'll be happy, right?
Alright.
Yeah.
So what's the show called?
One's called General You Show, and the other one's called Healthy Heart Network.
Right.
TV
So
show.
you talk about, I guess, having a healthy heart?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, I bought his book. So that's one of the shows. That was
Cool.
that one there. And that was...
You can show it, by the way. So that the
Cool,
camera
yeah, I
can
want to see what the camera's there. So,
oh, you don't want them to... Sorry?
I can show, no. It's
okay.
No, shameless promotion. No problem.
Right.
Yeah, so those are the two guys we did TV shows for.
Okay.
I worked for a bank for 12 years. And then I quit and joined the IT industry, basically selling computers. And then from there, I started there was a mob called Osborne Computers, and they eventually got bought out by Dell. They went broke eventually, but they were giving me 100 leads a week. So I didn't have to do any marketing at all.
So it was a marketing job, but you didn't really
It was all computer stuff, right?
Yeah.
And back then when the computers first came up, you didn't have to sell computers, you just showed up and they bought them.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and Dell and Osborne didn't sell the computer. You walked into the shop, paid $3 or $4 grand, and you waited 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month for a computer. You didn't just take it out the shop. And so in the meantime, they'd need help. So, setting it up when they got it and stuff. So we sold lots and lots of that. And then they went broke. And so I had to learn how to market suddenly because I didn't have any customers anymore. So that's how I started. So I started spending $100 grand just going to courses, not traditional go universe stuff, go out and look at how people were doing it. So we started doing book publishing because books were a really good way to sell someone's business, right? Because they write about their business. So if I write about book publishing as a publishing book, I'm telling the customer how it works, but at the same time, I'm crystallizing exactly the way my business is going to operate, right? So it's a great business plan. And so we do that first, and we sort of got into publishing books. So we've been involved in about 350 books now. And and that's only about 3 or 4 years. So I can start a business in a week from get-go, idea, implementation, start. And basically, that's most people can't do that.
Okay, well...
So it takes them 2 years. Yeah.
So have you started businesses on
tons.
a very regular basis now?
Yeah, we can restart. The latest business we're starting is an actual software platform. And whilst the development of the software has been slow, the actual startup of the business, it takes a couple of weeks to get it rolling. And that's kind of what that book's about, is at the foundations of how you got to move through that process. We sell his book up front, and then that book's automatically fulfilled and dropped if they buy it, drop shipped out to them. And if they join the membership system, it's all totally automated from the whole process. So they basically get joined up, sent to a platform, log in, send emails, their membership pack goes out. That's all as much automated as possible. And you can almost, you're running this whole business with no staff.
Okay.
Virtually.
Yeah, no, that's great because you save so much on rent and wages.
Yeah.
And...
Well, back when I did the Sage distributor, I had 23 staff, cost me $1 million in wages a year. And I make more money now with one staff member than I did back then. When we wrote his book, we said, who's your customer? Who are you writing to? Who's the perfect person? All right, and that's what most people don't do in marketing. They just go, somewhere between 18 and 35. Male or female will do. That's too vague. So what happens is you never actually get connected to anybody. And so the trick is to figure out who your customer is and who's the best person to go after, and go after them. Go after the easy ones, not the hard ones. And so when I talk to people, I find out they've always trying to hunt down these hard customers, ones that are too hard to get, when they actually all these low-hanging fruit they could have gone and got. Because they're trying to overthink that process, but not really thinking about who they should be actually selling to as their perfect customer. So I always say, write a book, and then you look at them and say that if you could have 100 like them, that'd be really good. That's the person you write the book for. Not the really hard to deal with customer, the one's got no money, the ones that actually fit what you want. And that's the trick with marketing now. It's be very focused about who the hell you're talking to. So I wrote that book when I was going to do marketing, right? So my theory was I'll have 25 customers, pay me $5-10 grand a month, and we'll do their marketing for them, right? After 5 customers, I was exhausted because it was too much work. right? Too hard. And so in the end, we realised we couldn't do it that way. There was no way to scale a business. I couldn't scale a business that way. So then we thought, well, let's write software to actually help and sell software rather than just services, and move away from doing the marketing for them, help them, empower them to do it. So we're writing a platform to do that. And that book's all about, basically, because we write books, we should have a book about writing books. Right?
Okay.
Makes sense, right? I sold so many books, authors selling that book than all the others, because they want marketing. Most people write books for marketing purposes, and they can't market, they couldn't sell them. So, but we decided to write a book about how to write a book because we write books.
So now you're mainly in the book publishing
Well,
industry,
two main
or how
focuses
would you-
for us really. One is the book publishing is a great little hobby business. I mean, it turns over a ton of money, but like if somebody comes to us and says, I want to write a book, like say this sort of client comes and wants to write a book, don't know how to write a book, all that sort of stuff, we'll charge them like $15,000 to do that. So it's good money. But it's not scalable, see, because I need editors, I need formatters, it's just too hard to scale. So that's what I tried to do at one point there. After we sort of gave up on that idea, we saw a scale of publishing business. There's too many moving parts. But what they really needed in this whole process was a platform for them to be able to do everything else. So once you've written a book, you need to sell it, right? You need to market it. Maybe you need to do a podcast. Maybe you need to do a website. Maybe you need to do a blog, right? Maybe you need e-commerce to actually, process that sale. All those things, right? And so we actually started running a Evolvepreneur platform to allow us to actually take people and say, okay, these authors, we'll set you up in such a way as that, for this book here, this client here, it took me 2 years to build out everything he needed. I reckon if I'm finished this platform's released, we can do it in 2 days, in what normally take 2 years. So we're kind of merging a normal front-end website to a back-end community site where we can actually engage them and gamify it and make them stay with you rather than going off to Facebook where you're going to lose them. And so that's kind of the concept, right?
Okay.
But most people, if you think about that, currently for Warwick, we probably operate 9 to 10 different platforms to do that. When we're finished, one platform will do enough for them to be able to actually cater for the entire thing. They only need one thing. And that's what we're trying to get to.
Okay, so the service offering is basically a community-based platform.
Yeah.
That combines.
So we kind of call it, we haven't really kind of figured out what it is yet, but it's probably community-based e-learning, right? So what happens is most of these guys will create a course, like we did with Warwick. We created a course. He needs to sell that course, but he needs a community around that course, right? He needs to be able to have interactions and questions and stuff like that. That's all hard when you start looking at all the platforms. So what we do is we basically say, put all that together, so when they buy the book, seamlessly go into the community. Don't have to jump to another website and number in another login or do something else.
So this business here is a one-man business? Or...
Well, 2-man now. Well, not necessarily, because we have a bunch of contractors. So one of the things that I learned in business was with 23 staff, 100 mouths to feed, is that they don't always put the company first, right? Yeah. They come, so you get 4 or 5 hours of work out of them a day, maybe, if you're lucky. And so what happens is if you have contractors, they're getting paid by the hour. And I've got full-time contractors work. I've got a Filipina that's worked for me like 6-7 years. She's full-time, but she's not an employee. She's a contractor, right? And fortunately, she's not in Australia, so we get rid of those crazy contractor laws. But the reality is that that's a contractor, but she's working full-time. She works 40 hours a week. If she gets paid 40 hours a week. And so we got lots of different editors and other contractors we use, and we only use them when we need them, as opposed to having to actually pay them every week and maybe they're twiddling their thumb. But a lot of the industries are now changing. Like you look at Uber or any of those, like Airbnb. They're all tech businesses handling a physical thing, right? And they found a way of automating it, and they've become the leader in it. And reality is that Airbnb don't own any hotels. Uber doesn't own any taxis, although they're apparently building helicopter taxis now and stuff like that. And with automation of cars, eventually won't need the driver. But the reality is that, and that's going to be the ultimate thing for them, right? They won't cost them anything. They don't have to pay any commission. They'll just basically be all totally automated. And so that's the trick in any sort of business to make a lot of money, is not have something you've got to continually monitor.
Maintain.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest problem, see, and you look at the whole scenario, like jobs that appear today didn't exist 20 years ago. And so I think the biggest problem in society is that you've got this shift between doing one job and another, and a huge population gets unemployed. Like you look at America with car manufacturers and stuff, and all these people suddenly lose their job, and they work there for 30 years and they've got no other skills. They're doomed, right? And that's the sad part about technology, but you can't stop it. But I think they have to have a better plan. Like you need to be able to kind of think, well, okay, this industry is going belly up. Let's make a plan and start, government or whatever, start retraining these people early out, not wait till they all go belly up and then go, oh, sorry about that, and then leave them in the lurch. But yeah, I don't understand what happens at which point when maybe nobody's making any money and nobody can have a job. How do you actually live? I don't know how that works. That's a big question, because eventually you could get to a point where you've got this huge economy that's got no money because they don't have a job. So therefore they can't spend money with other businesses. So you basically got, does money cease to exist? The biggest problem is I was actually watching that TV thing on Netflix just recently about that old thing that data now is more valuable than oil. So I think the biggest problem that they're saying right now is your data is worth something. You value to that company, Facebook, your data should be valued at something. They should pay you for that data, because that's your, like if you go and do a survey, those surveys, you go out and do surveys, they pay you to go and do those surveys and go to shopping. It's like mystery shopper. Your data should be worth something. And I think maybe that's what it's going to get to. I mean, it's happening in China where they've got that whole, social credit thing, which I don't think is a good idea. And every other organisation, every other sort of industry has all this regulation. Building industry, can't just build a building without regulation. But you can go social media and do nothing, have no regulation. And so I think that's probably the future, is a lot more regulation, because these guys need to be under more control. I think they can't just decide what they're going to do themselves and then make up. It's like, if you get banned off Facebook, that's it. You've got no recourse. You can't go to anybody and say, oh, gee whiz, I got banned from Facebook unfairly. My business is now shut down. Or Google, do the same thing. You're banned for life with Google. Usually Facebook, they ban you for a couple of weeks. But Google ban you for life.
Right. What
happens then? You've got nowhere to go. You can't ask someone, oh, why did I get banned? Because they don't tell you anyway.
Okay.
Can I get back on there? No, I can't. Well, there's no one to go to. But if there's an ombudsman or some sort of degree of authority, you can go to them and they can actually overrule it and say, no, you can, you can do that. You can go back on that platform because what you did wasn't wrong. Like we invented the fridge. Australians invented the fridge, would you believe? Australians invented the Hills hoist, the laundry, when you hang up your washing. They invented that, right? Okay. So we invented so many things. Like we invented the fridge, for God's sake.
Okay.
Because we had to transport, food for long distances.
Right, okay, right? Yeah.
So why can't we become, a country that's smart country in terms of technology?
Do you think Australia still relies a lot on its primary production in terms of agriculture and minerals?
Yeah, I used to live on a property and stuff when I was a kid. I used to grow up in cattle products, stuff like that. And why would you do it to yourself? Like, it's the worst job ever.
Okay.
You get up early in the morning, you worry about it not raining. When it rains too much. If it doesn't rain enough, there's no real control. And we're living on a desert island. So the reality is you're asking for trouble from the get-go, aren't you? So, relying on the whole just basic, primary production and digging stuff out of the ground is like 100 years ago. Why haven't we moved on from that? I don't get it, but... Seriously, what happens normally in those country areas is, say, like my son, he's 19, right? He would go off to university from the farm and he'd never come back. He's not that stupid, right? He'd go and get a job in the city and probably subsidise his father and keep his farm running. That's what probably would happen. Because he's not that stupid to go back, and then his farm, and they used to call it a form of child abuse, because what would happen is you'd end up inheriting the farm and all the debt that goes with it. And so, it's just kind of dumb the way they do it, it's in my opinion.
I think your farm is almost like a business in itself.
It has to be a sustaining business, but you can't control the elements, right? You've got big major droughts in New South Wales because they never planned water. They never really plan it. And then, of course, with the Murray Snow Mountains, well, the whole scheme is they keep taking the water out along the way, so by the time it gets to the other end, the people who really need it, there's nothing left because people just started damming it off. And they got away with it. It's because they needed it for cotton, which is the most expensive water-based thing to grow in a desert island. So, I don't know. It seems obvious to me, but I can teach him how to run a business, but don't run a complicated business, right? Run a business that's actually scalable and you can actually build, and then he can figure out what he wants to do in that business.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode in a series where we interview business leaders, tech innovators, and startup founders about their business journey, insights, and reflections. If you find value in this, please leave us a comment below, and also like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Enjoy!